What's up, y'all? Happy Friday to each and every one of y'all out there. It's your boy Rodimus back with another video. And on today's video, we are going to talk some NFL news. Yes, the NFL made some noise, made some headlines, made a splash this week from a certain trade, a certain player getting a contract extension, two players being traded to be exact, and all that good stuff. We'll get into that in just a minute. But just want to get into some side notes here. The NBA Finals, Game 2 is tonight. I tell you what, Game 1 was very exciting, and Game 1 definitely delivered. The New York Knicks stole Game 1 in San Antonio. Game 2 tonight is in San Antonio. And I do agree with what Stephen A. Smith on First Take said, that if the New York Knicks go up 2-0 and they go back to Madison Square Garden on Monday, knowing that building is going to be rocking, knowing New York City is going to be rocking, it's going to be hard for San Antonio to come back. Now, listen, they played a real competitive game in Game 1. But if they can come out, make some adjustments, correct the mistakes that they did from Game 1 to Game 2, and tie the series up, then you know what? It's going to be a great series. It's going to be a great series either way. But we'll see how Game 2 plays out tonight. I'll definitely be watching. And the Stanley Cup is going on right now between the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes. And the Stanley Cup is tied up 1-1 right now. The Hurricanes won last night. So we'll see how things turn out in Game 3. Now, what are we here for? As I mentioned, we are going to talk some NFL news. A lot went down this week. And I tell you what, man. The headlines that made the noise, they definitely made some noise, especially today as of this recording. Looks like the Chicago Bears are going to be moving to Indiana. It's been approved. It's been voted on to build a new stadium for the Bears. So as of right now, they are still the Chicago Bears, but eventually they're going to end up going to Indiana. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things shape out once they move from Chicago to Indiana. I mean, so much history with the Bears in Chicago. We know they won the Super Bowl in '85 and stuff like that. They made the playoffs last year. Caleb Williams is now the cover boy for the new Madden game. A whole lot is going on with the Bears right now. So it's definitely going to be telling within the next few days, months, and weeks as the Bears go to Indiana, Hammond, Indiana to be exact. But nonetheless, enough about the Bears. Let's talk about the NFL news that made a splash this week. We are going to start off with the Atlanta Falcons. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, unfortunately, did not make the playoffs last year. However, they made some noise money-wise because they have now signed wide receiver Drake London to a new 4-year, $141 million contract extension. $100 million of that is guaranteed. Yes, $100 million of that $141 million is guaranteed. And you know what? Say what you want about the Falcons. Say what you want about Drake London. To me, he deserves it. He definitely deserves it. He is one of the best wide receivers in the game. I don't watch him much. I haven't really watched his career much. But this dude is fantastic. I mean, honestly, if you really think about it, the Falcons overall, they now got Tua. They got Michael Penix, Bijan Robinson in the background. Drake London doing this thing, wide receiver wise. They have some really good pieces to make this team better than what they are. They're better than what they are right now. And Matt Ryan being the team president, Ian Cunningham, the general manager, they definitely made a splash when news dropped about this. And honestly, I don't see the harm in it. He's well deserved of his money. I don't know about y'all. He's well deserved of his money. Drake London, like I said earlier, is one of the best wide receivers in the game. When you talk about wide receivers, you're going to talk about Drake London, A.J. Brown, who I'll talk about in a little bit, Jamar Chase, JSN from the Seattle Seahawks, so on and so forth. You've got a really good core of receivers in the game right now, and I don't see how Drake London cannot be in that conversation. So, like I said, he's well deserved of his money. And just to run down his stats from last year, he played all 17 games last year, so he was definitely available. He had 72 receptions for 866 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was targeted 117 times. He had a decent season. Despite the fact his team didn't make the playoffs. Nonetheless, Drake London is definitely deserving of his money, and I don't see the harm in that, because if you play and you show results, then why not give him what he wants? Why not give him what he's worth? And he's definitely shown that. He's now the third highest paid receiver behind only Jamar Chase and Jackson Smith and Jigma. So you got three of the top receivers in the game getting some money. They getting that bag. So shout out to the Atlanta Falcons for making that smart move there. Now, before we move on, like I mentioned, quarterback-wise, you have Michael Penix and Tua Tagovailoa, who's now moved from Miami to Atlanta. So he has some quarterbacks to throw to. So he's not hurting for nobody to throw to him. He's going to get that ball either way. He's going to get some catches either way. So it's definitely going to be telling how things shape out for not only Drake London, but for the Atlanta Falcons overall. Now let's move on to the Giants. Let's move on to New York. I talked about the Knicks earlier. Let's talk about the New York Giants, shall we? The New York Giants made the news this week announcing that Odell Beckham Jr., yes, OBJ. You remember OBJ? The same OBJ who won the Super Bowl with the Rams? That OBJ. The same OBJ who made that famous one-handed catch all those years ago? That OBJ. Yes, Odell Beckham Jr. is back with the Giants. Now, I was telling some coworkers this week. I think he should end his career with the Giants because this is where he started. I mean, yeah, early in his career was some bad blood between him and the organization, but they seemed to patch things up. And Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ, the homecoming, the reunion, it has come to fruition. Now, how do I feel about this? I'm personally a fan of OBJ. The New York Giants have made some noise. They have made some headlines throughout the offseason with the acquisition of new head coach John Harbaugh. Malik Neighbors looking to come back. Cam Scatterboo looking to come back from injury. Jackson Dart, the whole thing with him introducing Trump, that's a whole nother situation. The New York Giants were horrendous last year. They were horrendous. And that's pretty much an understatement. The New York Giants are looking to make some noise this year with players coming back from injury. John Harbaugh looking to change the culture of the team. Odell Beckham Jr. coming back. So the wide receiver room, just like the Falcons and the Patriots, who I'll talk about in a minute, the wide receiver room in the New York Giants locker room is not hurting at all. You got Malik Neighbors. You got OBJ, you got Jackson Dart. Hopefully he can stay out of the blue tent. Hopefully he can stay healthy, right? You got Cam Scatterboo. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, who they just signed. So like I said, receiver-wise, that room is not hurting at all as far as the Giants are concerned. Now, Odell Beckham Jr., the last time he played was in December of 2024 when he was with the Miami Dolphins. He was let go after 9 games, and he ended up serving a 6-game suspension in 2025 due to violation of the league's PED policy. And like I said, he did not play all of 2025. And the last time we saw him, he was with the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. And I'll definitely have something to say about the Rams towards the tail end of the video. But nonetheless, it's definitely going to be interesting. How are things going to shape out with Odell Beckham Jr. being he hasn't played in almost 2 years? How are things going to shape up now that he's back with the New York Giants, the same organization that he started? How are things going to shape out? How are things to play out, rather, now that he's got John Harbaugh as his head coach? He's got a young quarterback. That team is young, okay? They were decimated all year with injuries, not just on the offensive front, the defensive front as well. So, like I said, they've made noise for the right reasons, but also the wrong reasons. But this right here, you can put on the right side of things because a lot of people are going to be looking at the Giants this year Not just because OBJ is back, but because they're looking to rebound and have a better season than what they've had. And they're looking to make some noise, hopefully for them, make some noise in the NFC East. But we'll see how things shape out there. Now let's talk about the New England Patriots. News broke this week, that A.J. Brown, yes, that A.J. Brown from the Philadelphia Eagles got traded, and he has reunited with Mike Vrabel. He is now a New England Patriot. Now, you can say what you want about A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, another wide receiver, one of the best in the game right now. And I'm just going to run down his stats real quick before I get into the whole thing. His stats from last year, he played 15 games, 78 receptions, 1,003 yards, 7 touchdowns. And he was targeted 121 times. Here's my thing about this. I like the move because it was obvious. Everybody and their grandma knew that he was going to leave Philly. Everybody and their grandma knew he was going to reunite with Mike Vrabel at some point or another, right? My thing is the way he went about it. As far as Philly is concerned, you still got Devontae Smith, who's a very good wide receiver. They drafted Makai Lemon out of USC, so he's going to look to do some things his rookie year. And a list of other people on that team. It's not always about A.J. Brown. All year long, what's going on with A.J. Brown? What's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles? Why is he complaining about not getting the ball? It's not always about him. I understand his frustration. I, as a fan, understand his frustration because I'm looking at it from afar. But again, I just ran down his stats. He had 1,000 yards receiving. He had 7 touchdowns, so it wasn't like he was hurting for the ball for real. But like I said, though, he's not the only receiver on the team. Now, as far as him going to New England, you can tell he's much happier now. Like I said, he's reunited with Coach Vrabel. He played with him when he was at Tennessee. So it's definitely going to be an interesting dynamic. Drake May, young quarterback. How are the Patriots going to do, being that they come off that Super Bowl loss? How will this affect the Patriots going forward? Will it affect them as they look to get back to the Super Bowl? Will it affect them in a way that is less of a distraction maybe when he was in Philly? Who knows? But as far as I'm concerned, man, I like this move. And oh, by the way, they still got Romeo Doubs as a receiver too. So Drake May, he got plenty of people to throw to. But A.J. Brown is going to be that number one. He's going to be that number one receiver. As far as the exchange, if you will, the Patriots, they got A.J. Brown, of course, but Philadelphia gets a 2027 fifth-round pick and a first-round pick in 28. I know a couple of coworkers I was talking to about that, and they seem to look at it as a stupid move, but I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move for both parties. It's best to separate. Unfortunately, it ended in a way that it wasn't positive. That's the word I'm looking for. But nonetheless, like I said, A.J. Brown seems to be more happier now. He seems to be more happier. He seems to be loving life right now, if you will. But like I said, man, he's not the only receiver. He wasn't the only receiver on the team. How is it also going to affect the Philadelphia Eagles going forward? Because they still got some weapons on that team. How are they going to play? How are things going to play out for them when it comes to wanting to win the AFC East? I mean, the NFC East, I'm sorry. How is it going to affect Philly as they try to win the NFC East going into next year? We'll see how things shape out for both teams. But A.J. Brown to the Patriots, along with Drake May, Coach Vrabel, sign me up. Now, on to some sad news, if you will. Let's talk about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, he pretty much confirmed it himself. He will now be joining the CBS team. He will now be joining CBS Sports, as he will now be filling in the seat of Matt Ryan. He will now be joining NFL Today, and he also confirmed his retirement after 14 years. As of Wednesday, he put out a thank you football video highlighting his career and everything that he's done in the NFL. After 14 years, he became a Super Bowl champion with the Seattle Seahawks. He's always going to be associated with the Legion of Boom, that great defense that Seattle had, right? They won the Super Bowl. He was Rookie of the Year in 2012. And as I'm reading some of his stats here, as I mentioned, Rookie of the Year, Super Bowl champion, 10-time Pro Bowler, second team All-Pro in 2019, 46,966 yards, nearly 47,000 yards he's passed in his 14 years, 353 touchdowns to just 114 interceptions, 5,568 rushing yards to 31 rushing touchdowns. Here's my thing about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was a good quarterback. Was he a Tom Brady? No. Was he, say, like a Ben Roethlisberger? No. Could he run the ball? Definitely. He could run the ball somewhat like a Michael Vick, per se. You know what I'm saying? I know that sounds crazy to me to say, but he was a decent quarterback for what he was, for his stature. I think he's like 5'10", 5'11", or something like that. So he was a short quarterback. He wasn't like a 6'5", 6'4", or something like that. You know, he wasn't like a Cam Newton or a Tom Brady or somebody like that, but he could play for what he could play for the size that he was. Now, it will always be associated with Russell Wilson, the dumbest play in Super Bowl history. And I don't put this all on Russell Wilson. I put this on Pete Carroll. He was the head coach at the time. We all know the play. We all saw the play. They were facing the Patriots, 1 yard line with the game on the line. He threw the ball when you had Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. You had beast mode in the backfield. I remember watching that game in real time, live and in person. I remember watching that game. And Malcolm Butler bumps the receiver, catches the ball, intercepts the ball, and I'm just sitting there like, you have to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me right now, right? You throw the ball at the 1 yard line. Again, I'm not going to place this all on Russell. This was Pete Carroll's call. And he should never be forgiven for that call. That is the dumbest play in Super Bowl history. But nonetheless, Russell Wilson, he had a solid career. Now the question is he a Hall of Famer? And I've been thinking about this all week. And I talked to my brother James about this. He feels like Russell is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And y'all let me know in the comments. Y'all let me know. Do y'all feel like Russell Wilson is a Hall of Famer? I feel like he is. First, in my personal opinion, first ballot? No. I don't see how Eli Manning's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but that's neither here nor there. And I'm just using that as an example. But I think Russell Wilson is indeed a Hall of Famer. There are at times during his career that he's played like a Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, yeah, he should have more than one Super Bowl on his resume, but nonetheless, he has a Super Bowl. And he's done some things in his career, and it just makes you go like, wow, this dude can really play for as short as he is as a quarterback, right? But nonetheless, I think he's a Hall of Famer. Now, in his 14 years, he's played for Seattle. He had 2 disastrous years in Denver. That stuff with him and Sean Payton. I remember that game where Sean Payton was going off on him on the sidelines. That was embarrassing for the world to see. He had a horrible stint in Pittsburgh, and his last stint was last season with the New York Giants. So again, I ask y'all, do y'all feel like Russell Wilson is a Hall of Famer? In my personal opinion, yes. Last but not least, I had to save the best for last, y'all, because I wanted to talk about this, and I added some last-minute notes. And at the tail end of the video, I'm going to ask y'all 5 burning questions. The Los Angeles Rams acquired now 2-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns in exchange for Jared Verse. With that being said, the Rams, again, they acquired Myles Garrett here. They got a First round pick. Cleveland, in exchange, got a first round pick in next year's draft. They got a second round pick in 28 and a third round pick in 29. Now, Jared Verse, I really haven't watched much of him. He's been in the league for a couple years now. Myles Garrett, what more can I say about Myles Garrett? Myles Garrett is hands down the best defensive player of the year. He's the best defensive player in the NFL. He's a two-time defensive player of the year. And his stats speak for themselves. I mean, last year, he broke the single season record for most sacks with 23. And as of this recording, news broke yesterday that he and the Rams have restructured his his contract. They have restructured his contract, which means he'll get more money. Now, when he re-signed with Cleveland, he signed a 5-year, $204 million contract. He's going from $31.5 million to $37 million this year. That's a huge increase. General Manager Les Snead is doing everything he can, as well as Sean McVay, to make sure the Rams win the Super Bowl. Now, I was telling one of my supervisors this, and if y'all really think about it, the Rams are loaded on both sides of the ball. I mean, I think they still have Devontae Adams. Of course, you got Matt Stafford. He's going to be around for at least another 2 years. You got Puka Nacua. Then on defense, you just added Myles Garrett, and you got that loaded defense backing them up. You can't tell me that they're not loaded on both sides of the ball. And this makes them even more of a favorite to win the Super Bowl. Now, granted, Seattle won, but with the Rams and the Super Bowl being hosted at SoFi this season, you can't tell me the Rams are not the clear-cut favorite right now to win the Super Bowl. This makes them even more of a favorite. I mean, what else can I say? And then on top of that, the draft. Everybody keeps talking about Ty Simpson being drafted 13th overall by the Rams. What does his future look like once Matt Stafford hangs it up? You got Stetson Bennett. When's the last time you talked about Stetson Bennett? But nonetheless, man, I really like this move. And then Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald retired, 2 years ago? He's also a great defensive player, one of the best defensive players that the game has ever seen. Just imagine if he does, let's say for the sake of argument, just imagine if he does come out of retirement. Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett on the same defensive line. That would hands down to me, and I don't know about y'all, that would be to me the scariest defense that I have ever watched in all my years of watching football. Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett on the same defensive line. All I got to say to the opposing offenses, look out if he were to come out of retirement. That is going to be a scary sight to see. But like I said, I do like the move. And the Rams, how are things going to shape out with them come next year? Like I said, this makes them the heavy favorite, and I mean heavy favorite to win it all next year. So with all that being said, let's talk about these 5 burning questions I have. And y'all let me know in the comments how y'all feel about this. As I ask these questions and give my own personal answer, y'all let me know how y'all feel. So question number 1 I have, as far as Atlanta is concerned, do you think it was a smart move to give Drake London a contract extension? That huge contract extension he got, do you think it was a smart move for Atlanta? As I said earlier, I think he's one of the best receivers in the game. He definitely gives you the results you need when it needs it. So I think it was smart for Atlanta to do so. Again, if you're giving positive results, you get what you're worth. And he's proven that he's worth that $141 million contract extension. Question number 2. Will the return of OBJ in New York lead the New York Giants to win the NFC East and have a turnaround season? No. But do I think that OBJ has some juice left in the tank? Yes. Again, as far as the Giants, they got to get their players healthy. Malik Neighbors, I think Abdul Carter got hurt. I can't remember. I know Jackson Dart, as much as he stayed in the blue tent, Cam Scatterboo. So John Harbaugh is going to have to get that team in check. You know, with all the political stuff and all that nonsense, he's going to have to get that team in check. Do I think they'll win the NFC East? Hell no. But I think they'll be a little better than what they were last year. I'm not saying playoffs, but I think they'll be a little better than what they were last year because their season last year was disastrous. And I do mean disastrous. Question number 3. How will the addition of A.J. Brown to the Patriots affect the team going forward as we head into next season? I think it'll affect them in a positive way. Do I see the Patriots getting back to the Super Bowl? No. But who knows what the cards will hold for A.J. Brown, Coach Vrabel, Drake May, and crew. Especially Drake May, being that he's going into year 3. How will this affect him? How will this affect the team overall? I think the team, you know, they're still going to be a playoff team. They're still going to be in the hunt. Don't get me wrong. They're still going to be in the hunt. But do I see them getting back to the Super Bowl per se? No. A.J. Brown is a Super Bowl champion. So he can bring that presence to the team, and I think it'll help them in a way that they can get back to the playoffs, not necessarily the Super Bowl, but we'll see. Question number 4. Will you tune into the NFL today now that Russell Wilson is on board? Yes and no. I mean, like I said, Russell Wilson did what he could in the 14 years, but I think he'll bring some type of presence to the crew, if you will, because he has that football expertise. He has that knowledge, if you will, being that he played a long time. He's also a Super Bowl champion. So I think he'll do good. But will I ultimately tune in every week to see him? No, I will not. And last but not least, Myles Garrett and the Rams. Will Myles Garrett and the Rams defense lead the team ultimately to the promised land? We'll see. We'll see. You know, everybody is automatically crowning the Rams Super Bowl champions, but the season hasn't started yet. That said, you still got the Seattle Seahawks. The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to bounce back. You know, Patrick Mahomes coming back and stuff like that. The Patriots, who I just mentioned, Philly, the Chargers. You got teams out there that made the playoffs that are looking to make some noise other than the Los Angeles Rams, but we'll see. Here's my problem. I don't want this to be like the Boston Celtics or the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA. You know, when OKC won the title last year, everybody and their grandma, including me, automatically crowned them repeat champions. And we see who's in the finals now. And it's not the OKC Thunder. It's not SGA and the Thunder. And same way with the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are a very good team, but we saw they lost in the first round. So I don't want it to be that. All that said, though, with the Rams, they got to come with it. They got to come with it because this year is going to be put up or shut up. Matt Stafford is only going to be around for another year or two. Sean McVay, General Manager Les Snead, they are looking to rebuild. They're looking to build that team up year after year and stay in contention for the Super Bowl. So to answer that question, we'll see. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all give me y'all's answers on these questions. What do y'all think about these trades, the news? What do y'all think about the news concerning the Bears? I know this ain't got nothing to do with it, but what do y'all think about the news about the Bears? What do you think about Drake London getting his contract extension? Y'all give me y'all answers to these questions and stuff like that. And with all that being said, man, y'all continue to like, share, comment, subscribe to the Point of View YouTube channel with your boy Rodimus here. I do the best I can to give y'all the content that y'all want, that y'all care to listen to. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. All that being said, my name is Rodimus. This has been my Point of View, and I will see you guys next time.